where you were going to stay overnight.
No, I know. Well, maybe go to the Queen's Bush. Might have a room, or at least I'd stay there till closing time anyway.
And that would be something new for you to stay at a place such as that until closing time.
It would be. Harkening back to university days. Yes.
Now, I've heard rumors that you used to stay long enough that it wasn't at closing time, it was at opening time again before you got
That's
here.
about it.
Yeah.
We got marooned in Tiviadale one time, coming back from I think it was the Scotties turning of Hearts down Kitchener, I think, and
Mhm.
we got up there and we drove around the road closed sign, and we everybody took turns sleeping on the benches in that little restaurant
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We were there for quite a while
Mm.
till well on into the morning, and before we got a little braver and took off. But uh, I think my back's still sore from that.
Oh, that's where the problem comes from. Well,
No,
take it up with Wellington County. That's not
yeah,
a
that's a problem.
Americas, I just want to advise that we are live and broadcasting on YouTube right now, just so you're aware.
yeah.
Oh,
Some of the stories that Don and I have, are talking about. We'll leave it at that.
yeah, that's all we'll do. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Okay.
Okay. All right. We are getting pretty close to kickoff time here, so I'll bring up a couple of things and get ready for that. What time do you have, Jamie? Are we close?
I have 1:57, so 3 minutes still.
2 minutes and 15 seconds is what I've got. So I don't know whether everybody got that email. I'm going to say this before the meeting starts. Councillor Noon won't be joining us. Just after council meeting, I understand she had a notification about an emergency with her family. So wish her all the best and yeah, I don't know any more than just that she wouldn't be able to join us today. Family matter had came up. I believe we will still have form. Okay. It is 2 o'clock and I will call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone. And I'm going to ask Ashley, if you can give us any update on how to participate. Ms. Noble,
Can you hear me?
I can.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Eccles, before I begin, at any point, if you get disconnected, you can dial. Oh, it's playing in two spots again. Sorry. You can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the ID for this meeting, which is 891-5626-2480. Both members of council and staff have been briefed on the various features of the Zoom meeting software and will be raising their hands physically to speak. For members of the public, if you require any technical assistance, please send a chat message to myself, West Gray Communications, and I will attempt to assist you. It should be noted for members of the public that this meeting is taking place across two meeting platforms, both on Zoom as well as being live streamed on YouTube. Public participation, if any, must be done through Zoom and cannot be done through YouTube at this time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Noble. Appreciate that. Today, we're having a public meeting on the zoning application. So I'm going to declare that the public meeting is open. And it's on zoning application ZA 16 2024 6724 Highway 89. I have some announcements to make from the chair. I'd like to remind everyone that the purpose of this public meeting is to receive input from the public. Every person who attends a statutory public meeting required under the Planning Act shall be given an opportunity to make representation in respect of the proposed bylaw. All submission materials for this application are available at the West Gray Municipal Office during regular business hours. Recent amendments to the Planning Act by the province now limit appeal rights on zoning bylaw amendment applications to the applicant, public bodies, specified persons who made oral or written submissions to the municipality prior to the decision being made. Specified persons generally include energy, railroad, telecommunications providers, as well as NAV Canada. This meeting is the essential part of the decision-making process. Feedback received will be considered in the decision of the West Gray Council. An explanation of how the public and agency comments factor into the decision will be included in the notice of passing of the bylaw. Were changes made in the proposed bylaw after holding a public meeting, council will determine if any further notice will be given respecting the proposed bylaw, and the determination of council as to the giving of further notice is final and not subject to review in any court, no matter the extent of changes made in the proposed bylaw. Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our clerk. He has some statutory comments to make as well, too. Jamie?
Thank you, Mayor Eccles, and through you, notice of this public meeting was circulated in accordance with the Planning Act. Anyone wishing to provide verbal comments at this meeting is asked to raise their hand and wait to be called upon to speak. Anyone wishing to speak should identify their name and town of residence. The personal information collected at this public meeting is collected under the authority of the Planning Act. The information collected will be used to complete the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment process and will form part of the public record. Questions about this collection should be addressed to me, the Director of Legislative Services / Clerk. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Gray on the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, you must make a written request to the Municipality of West Gray, care of the Director of Legislative Services / Clerk.
Thank you, Jamie. With that, I'm going to ask our planning manager, Mr. Smith, if you can give us an overview of your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Application ZA 16 2024, Martin Christian Loft as the agent. The purpose of the application, the zoning bylaw application, is to change the zoning on the property from A2 365 rural exception to M3 365 rural industrial exception to permit the expansion of the outdoor storage area on a existing on-farm diversified use from 442 meters squared to 2,283 meters squared, and a potential future expansion of the manufacturing shop from 557 to 630 meters squared for an existing dry industrial use. The municipal address we're looking at is 6724 Highway 89. And I'll ask Ashley if we could go to page 11 of 58 in the PDF, and we're going to take a quick look at the site plan, please. Thank you, Ashley. Very good. On the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the green L-shaped area. This is the proposed M3 special exception zone, rural industrial exception zone. The existing gray square is the existing industrial use. As I mentioned, this property is already zoned for industrial use. And the property to the, if you call it to the north, slightly stippled, is really where the expansion to the storage area is required. As I mentioned, is an existing use on Highway 89. They've been in business for a number of years. They produce outdoor grain storage, steel storage bins, and have been problems with finding adequate storage on the property. So overall, the expansion to the storage is the main thing kind of going on with the property. But we're also allowing for a small expansion to the square footage of the industrial building itself to give a bit of flexibility going into the future. The second part is that we also propose dry industrial uses as opposed to zoning it for a very specific use, as in manufactured or of a particular item or type of structure. Therefore, the dry industrial use is reviewed as a whole in this particular zoning. In 2016, 2017, the property was subject to a county OPA number 138 and a West Gray zoning amendment to permit a metal fabricating and paint shop operation, which is what they're still proposing to continue on. The business operates the Saugeen Side Enterprises, and the new M365 Rural Industrial Zone will permit the continued use of the existing shop, provide a small increase in shop size, and again, a larger outdoor storage area, loading spaces, parking area, and a stormwater management pond to the north, an oblong shape, abutting outdoor storage. There is a concurrent County of Gray official plan amendment number 21 underway with a proposed land use designation of space extensive industrial and commercial. That proposed official plan amendment and designation with the space extensive is different than the leaving zoning as rural or agriculture, and the space extensive allows for a broader range of uses within that, as opposed to just looking at strictly this as a on-farm diversified use. So this zoning works together with the county's official plan amendment if passed by the county. And the zoning proposed to West Gray Council is that the zoning be tied specifically to the official plan amendment. In other words, that the official plan amendment number 21 at the county would need to be in force and effect for the zoning to come in force and effect if West Gray Council were to approve it. Ashley, if we could go to the schedule that I sent you, please. Thank you. So you can see in the bottom M365, which basically matches up with the site plan that you saw in the previous document. Unfortunately, this zoning schedule did not come in time for it to be uploaded to your package, but we are showing it to you here now to show how the two would work in tandem. Thank you, Ashley, and we'll go back to the planning report, please. The application was, like I said, previously looked at by West Gray Council in 2017, and the zoning amendment was passed for the on-farm diversified use at that time with the A265 zone on it. The application was circulated to Public Works, Building and Fire with no concerns or comments. The town of Minto was also circulated with the application that sits on the county/West Gray border with the town of Minto. They have no concerns on that side. Gray County staff planning, again, the Gray County staff is reviewing official plan 2021, official plan amendment 21 with this, and they will be providing their comments for the public meeting after I'm finished with this zoning amendment. Okay, Gray County ecologist noted that there is no potential impact on natural heritage, and EIS was not required for this particular application. The MTO had a number of comments on the application due to the requirement for an entrance permit onto Highway 89. Sorry about that. Saugeen Valley Conservation has also taken a look at the stormwater management and the changes to the environment, natural environment area, and overall didn't have any issues with it either. We don't. There have been no comments received as of the date of the application, uploading the application to the website for your review. Reviewed the application against provincial planning statement 2024, not 2020. Then we reviewed it against the rural lands and the other policies of provincial policy. We take a look at things such as buffer areas, garbage and recycling services, stormwater, access, lighting, and setbacks to abutting property owners in this particular case. Overall, we didn't find any issues with the provincial planning statement for 2024, and I am of the opinion that it is consistent with that 2024 PPS. We reviewed it against the County of Gray official plan. It is a little bit difficult in that regard, in that the official plan amendment 21 is not in force in effect. However, we did review it against the potential policies in the county official plan for a space extensive commercial. Overall, there's not a lot of policies in the county official plan that give us direction on development within those kind of designations, although we do expect it to meet certain policies, such as dealing with the appropriate road authority, such as the MTO, ensuring that there is appropriate access for the development, that the site standards are in place, and that we have adequate setbacks. The use must be dry in nature. That means there can't be any processed waters or discharge to processed waters in that. And then the adequate supply of water for the property, soils, drainage, stormwater, etc., etc. Overall, the size of the operation, again, the Gray County EOP space extensive designation does not limit the size or area of a dry industrial commercial use. However, the implementing zoning by West Gray we're proposing to you will place a restriction on the maximum size of the shop and/or outdoor storage, which is in keeping with the standard zoning amendment for a property. Access, again, onto Highway 89. The MTOs reviewed the changes in the application. The applicant did need to address some of their concerns regarding how they were dealing with the property and access onto the highway. They are requiring still that the property remain under site plan control and the site plan agreement be on the property. There is an existing site plan agreement registered against the property that would have to be amended in order to reflect the changes in the property overall. Compatibility, again, the existing industrial shop itself is not being enlarged. We are proposing a small allowance for future expansions, but there should not be any significant change in offsite impacts from noise, odor, and dust. It's been there for many years, and a small change or potential change in making it any larger will not significantly change that overall. We did review it against the MECP D6 guidelines, which is for setbacks to neighboring dwellings and so on and so forth, and again, found no particular issues in regards to that particular guideline. It will have a new stormwater management pond on the property. We have more than enough room for septic system and potable water. Exterior lighting and signage will be regulated to the zoning bylaw. And in terms of the aggregate resource area identified on the property, we didn't find any particular issues with that, considering the existing use is pretty much on the property, and the expanded outdoor storage will not significantly impact the aggregate resource overall. In that regard, provided that County of Gray official plan amendment 21 is in force and effect, I do believe the zoning amendment is proposed does maintain the general intent and purpose of the Gray OP. The Municipality of West Gray zoning bylaw, as I mentioned, A2 365 rural exception is its current zoning, together with the natural environment on the property. The A2 365 permits a metal fabrication shop, including painting. On the property, we are proposing that the M3 365 replace the A2 365, and it'd be slightly larger in that regard, going on to 0.91 hectares as opposed to 0.56, which is the current zoning. The new zoning will permit industry dry as outlined in the report, and that we have a number of site-specific recommendations on the property, including a gross floor area of the main shop of 630 square meters. That would be about a 13% expansion to the existing shop. I'm not saying that's what they are proposing at the moment, but some flexibility in the zoning I do think is a good idea for this particular property. We will require a front yard minimum of 14 meters, which matches up with the MTO comments, and interior and side yards on both east and west sides. The west side is a minimum of 40 meters. We're still dealing with a house on that particular side on the west side, so we're trying to keep the shop back as far from the zone line as possible. We will require dark sky lighting, exterior lighting, and we will require a buffer planting area along the west lot line. There are some trees there already, but just to reinforce that within the zoning. Minimum of 7 parking spaces, 2 loading spaces, prohibit outdoor displays, and have a requirement for a maximum sign on the property of 1.487 meters squared. Other requirements of the M3 zone will continue to apply to the property. We will continue to be under site plan control. And again, a clause in the zoning amendment requiring OPA 21 to be forced in effect would be included. In that regard, we do recommend to the council that the application for ZA 16/2024 be approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Complete overview there. At this time, I'd like to turn comments from the applicant. I don't know whether we have Mr. Martin with us, but I do see Ms. Loft. Christine?
Yes, thank you. I'll be here representing the applicant.
Sorry, through you, Miracles, just before we continue, I think Grey County has a presentation that they wanted to make first on this
Oh,
from the.
my mistake. Okay. And who have we got doing that? Becky? Ms. Hilliard?
I'm doing it.
Oh, sorry, Derek. Yep.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Derek McMurdy, and I'm the county planner assigned to this file, County Official Plan Amendment 21. I would note that the goal of the public meeting today is to discuss both the zoning bylaw amendment and the concurrent official plan amendment, which I'll be speaking to. Next slide, please. So the proposed county official plan amendment is to redesignate approximately 5,980 square meters of the property from site-specific rural, and hazard lands to space-extensive industrial and commercial. This will permit an expanded outdoor storage area of 2,283 square meters for the existing rural business. Currently, the subject lands contain a farm operation and a metal fabrication and paint shop. The proposed amendment would not change the use of the property, and the current use was permitted through OPA 138 in 2017, and it will be replaced by OPA 21. Next slide, please. The subject lands are approximately 12.2 hectares in size, and 11.63 hectares would remain as actively farmed fields. The property is approximately 2 kilometers west of Mount Forest and fronts onto Highway 89, which forms the boundary between Grey County, the County of Wellington, and the town of Minto. The surrounding land uses include low-density rural residential lands and active farmland to the south and east, low-density rural residential and forested lands to the west, and active farmland to the north. Next slide, please. Here's a map showing the location of the subject lands with the frontage onto Highway 89 to the south, the South Saugeen River to the west, and the intersection of Grey Road 6th and Highway 89 to the east. Next slide, please. As mentioned previously, in 2017, OPA 138 was approved and permitted a metal fabrication shop and paint shop. This was done prior to the county's current on-farm diversified use policies. And as mentioned previously, OPA 21 would replace OPA 138. The proposed OPA would not change the use of the lands or expand the existing 557.4 square meter shop. The outdoor storage space, however, will increase from 442.6 square meters to 2,283 square meters. This larger storage space will extend towards the rear of the commercial area away from the highway and neighboring properties. The applicant is also proposing to alter a farm drainage channel to redesignate a portion of the hazard lands on the property. Positive comments have been received by the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority in this regard. Next slide, please. As seen on this slide, the subject property is outlined in red. The land to be redesignated as space-extensive industrial and commercial is marked by the diagonal lines, and the hatched areas show the area to be redesignated as hazard lands. Next slide, please. So the subject applications were submitted before the new provincial planning statement was implemented. However, the 2024 PPS still provides direction on land uses and economic growth within rural areas and rural lands within municipalities. As for the county official plan, the subject lands are currently designated as site-specific rural, and hazard lands on Schedule A. Schedule B indicates that the subject lands contain aggregate resource area. The property also contains a stream and is adjacent to both significant woodlands and significant valley lands. Following this public meeting, a more detailed assessment of the PPS and county schedules and appendices will follow. The subject lands are not covered by the West Grey official plan, which only covers Durham and Newstead. Next slide, please. So at a high level, here's the outline of the planning process. I will note that it's illustrated in a linear manner, but many of these steps can happen simultaneously and can sometimes change order. In terms of roles, Westbury Council is the decision-making authority for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, and the county committee of the whole would be making a decision regarding the proposed official plan amendment. The pre-submission consultation between the consultant, the municipality, and the county identified the submission requirements. The required reports were submitted in support of the applications, and notice of complete application was circulated August 1st. The next steps include continued review of the application, including technical reports and public comments, providing comments to the applicant, and then receiving any necessary modifications to the application. After which staff would prepare a report for Grey County Council, who then decides to approve or refuse the official plan amendment. Next slide, please. The application and submission documents are posted on the county's website, and if anyone was unable to make today's public meeting and still wants to provide their comments, they may do so by emailing me at derek.mcmurdy@grey.ca or providing written correspondence by mail to the County of Grey. If you would like to receive notice of a decision, please email me and request to be circulated in the future. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Derek, and I apologize for trying to skip over you and interjecting on you, Christine. We'll have an overview from the applicant or agent, Ms. Loft, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Through the Mayor, Christine Loft from Loft Planning, and I'm acting on behalf of the landowners, Marvin Martin and Esther Martin, and they operate their business, Saugeen Side Enterprises, on the property. So the property is 6724 Highway 89. Next slide, please. The property is located on the north side of Highway 89. The property has a lot area of 12 hectares and a lot frontage of 486 meters. The proposal is to expand an existing on-farm diversified use. With respect to MTO did have initial comments or extensive comments, and Cobide Engineering, who are on the line with us today, did work with MTO, and so it's our understanding that all comments or revisions that MTO had required as part of pre-consultation have now been updated as per the plan that's before you today. Next slide. So there were some previous applications in 2017 as the previous presentations have identified, and we are building on those existing permissions. And the intent is to expand the existing outdoor storage area associated with the existing use. And the expansion will provide for additional outdoor storage space for materials and provide space for delivery trucks to safely maneuver on site and to avoid any traffic concerns on Highway 89. And you can see from the photo the product that Saugeen Side builds, which is a hopper steel container system used for agricultural purposes. Next slide. I actually think I'll skip over this. I think both Derek and David have given a good overview of what the actual amendments are. And again, the site plan, the green area is showing the area that we're proposing to redesignate and rezone. And then the red is the natural environment zone, which is part of the stormwater management plan. Next slide. And so just a stormwater management plan was provided Stormwater quantity control for the proposed outdoor storage expansion will maintain or lower pre-development flows. Stormwater quantity control for the development will be higher than pre-development flows during the 2-year storm event. This increase, however, is not expected to cause any downstream concerns. Stormwater quality will be provided. And lastly, the multifaceted erosion and sediment controls outlined shall be implemented prior to construction to ensure that the construction sediments do not enter South Saugeen River. And next slide. And I just have a few slides of the property that you would all probably have seen. Next slide. Just photos of the front yard and the entrance, which were the discussion points with MTO. And next slide, which I believe is just a conclusion. And one more. So just in conclusion, it's my opinion that the application is consistent with Provincial Planning Statement 2024. The application does conform to the county official plan based on our proposed amendment, and that the application generally meets the intent of the West Grey zoning bylaw as we've proposed an amendment. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Loft. With that, I'm going to those two presentations. Comments from the public. And Ashley, do we have anybody that is online? General public?
No comments.
I don't see any. That brings us down to any questions from the committee. None from the committee members. Then I would, the recommendation is in the, excuse me, in the package. So I'm wondering, is there one of the committee members want to move that recommendation, or how do you want to deal with it? Councillor Forrester and Councillor Townsend. Any questions or comments on that recommendation? That basically, in consideration of staff report ZA 2024, Martin Loft, council directs staff to bring forward a bylaw to amend bylaw 37006 as it relates to zoning amendment 16/2024. All right. There's no questions on the motion. I'll call the question. All those that are opposed, please. Seeing no one opposed, then I shall declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for the work on that one. All right. And with that, I will say that we have closed the public meeting on that application. All right. We're ready to go on to the next one. We have another public meeting today on another application. So I'm going to declare that the public meeting is open. And Ms. Noble, could you give me an idea of anybody that wants to join remotely, please?
As noted at the opening of the meeting, public participation must be done through Zoom. Members of the public joining virtually wishing to participate in this portion of the meeting may do so in one of two ways. If you have joined via phone, press *9 to raise your hand. This will let us know that you would like to speak. Alternatively, *9 can also be used to lower your hand. If you have joined virtually, you can either raise your hand by clicking either the blue or yellow hand icon located in the bottom corner of your screen, or by sending a chat message to myself, West Grey Communications, either stating that you would like to speak or what you would like read into the record on your behalf. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Noble. There are some mandatory announcements that I have to make from the chair. I'll start with, I would like to remind everyone that the purpose of this public meeting is to receive input from the public. Every person who attends a statutory public meeting required under the Planning Act shall be given an opportunity to make representations in respect to the proposed bylaw. All submission materials for this application are available at the West Grey Municipal Office during regular business hours. Recent amendments to the Planning Act by the province now limit appeal rights on zoning bylaw amendment applications to the applicant, public bodies, and specified persons who made oral or written submissions to the municipality prior to a decision being made. Specified persons generally include energy, railroad, and telecommunications providers, as well as NAV Canada. The meeting is an essential part of the decision-making process. Feedback received will be considered in the decision of West Grey Council. An explanation of how the public and agency comments factored into the decision will be included in the notice of passing of the bylaw. Where changes made in the proposed bylaw after the holding of a public meeting, council will determine if any further notice will be given respecting the proposed bylaw and the determination of council as to the giving of further notice in the final is final and not subject to review in any court, no matter the extent of the changes made of the proposed bylaw. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to our clerk. Jamie, you have some statutory comments as well, too.
Thank you, Miracles. And through you, notice of this public meeting was circulated in accordance with the Planning Act. Anyone wishing to provide verbal comments at this public meeting is asked to provide their name and the municipality in which they reside. The personal information collected at this public meeting is collected under the authority of the Planning Act. The information collected will be used to complete the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment process and will form part of the public record. Questions about this collection should be addressed to me, the Director of Legislative Services / Clerk. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Grey and the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, you must make a written request to the Municipality of West Grey, care of the Director of Legislative Services / Clerk.
Thank you, Jamie. And moving along, I'm going to ask for presentations from Mr. Smith. Your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Files at 8/28/2024, 140 McFarland Drive for Plume, with Questa Planning Consultants as the agent. Purpose of the application is to zone the property in advance of a submitted application for consent. The applications propose the creation of a new plus or minus 0.3 hectare lot and to retain a lot of approximately 26.7 hectares. So I mentioned 140 McFarland Drive. Can I ask Ashley to please bring up page 42 of 56 in the PDF, and we'll take a look and see where we are. Thanks. The diagram in front of you is the draft schedule for the property. You can see the property as a whole is certainly irregular in shape, with frontage onto Grey Road 6 onto the McFarland Drive in and of itself. The small R1A is the proposed lot over McFarland Drive, with a proposed zoning of A2 535 for the remainder of the property itself. Can we go to the next one, please, Ashley? Next page. This is a zoom in close up of the proposed severed area on McFarland 0.3 and that upper area with the retained the plus or minus 27 to give you a little bit better idea what we're talking about in terms of a residential size lot on McFarland Drive. Thank you, Ashley. Concurrent County of Grey Official Plan Amendment number 24 is also underway that would permit the creation of a new residential lot. The current policies of the county official plan would not permit the severance as proposed here, but they have submitted, as I said, official plan, which is underway at the moment. And the county will be providing a update, public meeting on that application in a minute. Property is designated currently rural and hazard in the County of Gray official plan with an aggregate resource area and other wetland constraints. The proposed new lot wouldn't be in the in the other wetlands constraint area. We have no issues with the natural environment overall. We do have A2 rural and natural environment zoning on the overall property. The Gray County Planning Ecologist of the opinion that an environmental impact study in this particular case is not required for the application. We have circulated the application to West Gray Public Works, Building and Fire. No concerns overall. Township of Southgate is immediately across the McFarland. They have no concerns from the Township of Southgate. County of Gray, as I mentioned, Official Plan Amendment 24 is being reviewed concurrently. The West Gray implementing zoning bylaw will include a requirement that OPA 24 be enforced and effective. The county decides to approve that official plan amendment. The Gray County Planning Ecologist, as I mentioned, has no concerns. Gray County Transportation has no concerns. And Saugeen Valley staff find the application acceptable to them. As of the date of writing the report and uploading to the website for your review, there have been no comments received on this particular application. Provincial planning statement should say 2024. Again, that was should have been fixed in this one also. We reviewed the application in terms of the rural and hazard policies and the aggregate resource area constraint on the property. There is no development proposed within the hazard, and the rural lands in this particular case are just basically lands outside of a settlement area. The PPS 2024 does allow for different types of development within a rural area, such as residential in this particular case, as long as we have appropriate sewage and water services. And in this particular case, the lot will be more than sufficient in size to accommodate those particular services. The natural heritage features, the other wetlands. We do have development that's within 120 meters of the other wetlands on the county official plan, but there is no development within the wetlands itself. And again, no environmental impact study was required. Mineral aggregate resource constraint is also identified on the property. In this particular case, the creation of the 0 point of the new residential lot will have no impact at all on the ability to extract that resource itself. And so we have no issues with the aggregate constraint on it. In that regards, we are of the opinion that the zoning amendment is consistent with PPS 2024. County of Gray official plan, we reviewed against rural and hazard lands policies. And again, other wetland and the aggregate resource area come into play. That concurrent official plan amendment would amend the particular sections of the OP that would permit a new lot less than 0.8 hectares in size and an exemption to the current lot size, lot density requirement of the official plan. And therefore, if that official plan amendment does come into place and to force an effect, then the zoning and the consent to come would be in conformity with those plans overall. In terms of the West Gray zoning bylaw, the lands are zoned A2 rural and natural environment. Proposed severed lot is vacant. There is a dwelling accessory buildings on the lot to be retained. The zoning on the proposed severed lot would be changed to R1A on serviced residential exception. This matches the zoning on all the other lots on that side of on the West Gray side of McFarland Drive. The proposed severed lot will meet all the regulations of the R1A zone at the moment. We would expect that the building, any new building or house would also meet the requirements of the R1A zone. If it could not, minor variance or similar would have to be applied to the municipality of West Gray. Proposed retained lot will not meet the requirements of the A2 zone regarding lot frontage minimum. In this particular case, they require 122 and the proposed is 48.7. The 48.7 is taken on McFarland Drive as the shorter of the two lot lines, considering it is a through lot, and therefore we use McFarland Drive as its frontage. The zoning on the retaining lot will be changed to A2 535 rural exception. There's also a small piece of A2 343 rural exception that has been incorrectly mapped onto the Plume property, and that will also be changed to A2 535 to match the remainder of the retained lot. The natural environment zoning will be modified to match the County of Gray official plan hazard mapping. In this particular case, it's a little bit different. So overall, we will require again a clause requiring OPA 2024 to be enforced in effect in that regard, and therefore we recommend to council that the zoning amendment ZA 28/2024 be approved as presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for that extensive update. And further, from staff planning, we have comments from the county. And Derek, that's you again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, good afternoon again. My name is Derek Murdy. I'm the county planner assigned to this file, official plan amendment 24. Once again, I would also just note that the goal of the public meeting today is to discuss both the zoning bylaw amendment and the current official plan amendment, OPA 24. Next slide, please. The proposed official plan amendment is to redesignate a portion of the subject lands from rural and hazard lands to rural with exceptions and hazard lands, which will permit the addition of one new rural lot. A related zoning bylaw amendment and consent application are also required by the municipality of West Grey. The subject property is bordered by Grey Road 6 to the west and north and McFarland Drive to the east. The property is located approximately 2 kilometers north of Mount Forest, and no new accesses are proposed off of Grey Road 6. The subject property is located within a rural development locally known as Plumeville and predates the county's current official plan policies. The subject property is approximately 27 hectares in size and contains a single residential dwelling, and the property is primarily used for farming purposes. The subject property is surrounded by low-density rural residential lands, forested lands, and active farmland to the south and east, active farmland and forested lands to the west, and low-density rural residential lands to the north. Next slide, please. Here is a map showing the location of the subject lands. Highway 6 can be seen to the northeast and Grey Road 6 to the west. Next slide, please. So OPA 24 will amend section 5.4.3 of the county official plan, the county's lot density policies, with a site-specific amendment and redesignate a portion of the lands from rural and hazard lands to rural with exceptions and hazard lands. As stated previously, this would permit a new rural lot that would otherwise exceed the county official plan's rural lot density policies. Currently, the original township lot would contain the proposed lot contains 14 lots, while the county OP would only permit a total of 5 lots. The proposed lot will have an area of approximately 0.24 hectares and will be on private servicing. A functional servicing report was submitted with the application to ensure that the lot could adequately be serviced. The retained lot would have an area of approximately 26.76 hectares and will continue to be used for agricultural uses. The zoning bylaw amendment would rezone the severed lot from rural to unserviced residential. Next slide, please. As seen in this slide, the subject property is outlined in burgundy with a portion of the property impacted by the OPA fully colored in. Next slide, please. The 2024 PPS would permit limited lot creation within rural areas and rural lands within municipalities, but directs the majority of growth to fully serviced settlement areas. All the lots in Plumeville are currently serviced by private wells and septic services. As for the county official plan, the subject lands are currently designated as rural and hazard lands on Schedule A. Schedule B indicates that the subject lands contain aggregate resource area. The property also contains a stream and a couple of other wetland features. Following this public meeting, a more detailed assessment of the PPS and county schedules and appendices will follow. The subject lands are not covered by the West Grey official plan, which only covers Durham and Neustadt. Next slide, please. Similarly to the last presentation, at a high level, here's the outline planning process. I'll note that is illustrated in a linear manner, but many of these steps happen simultaneously and can sometimes change order. In terms of rules, West Grey Council is the decision-making authority for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, and the county committee of the whole would be making a decision regarding the proposed official plan amendment. Pre-submission consultation between the consultant, the municipality, and the county identified the submission requirements. The required reports were submitted in support of the application. The notice of complete application and public meeting was circulated January 8th. The next steps include continued review of the application, including technical reports and public comments, providing comments to the applicant, and then receiving any necessary modifications to the application. After which, staff would prepare a report for Grey County Council, who then decides to approve or refuse the OPA. Next slide, please. The application and submission documents are posted on the county's website. If anyone was unable to make today's public meeting and still wants to provide their comments, they may do so by emailing me at derek.mcmurdy@grey.ca or by providing written correspondence by mail to the County of Grey. If you would like to receive a notice of decision, please email me and request to be circulated in the future. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Derek. And now I will go to the applicant and/or his agent, which I believe, Mr. Scott, you're representing Mr. Plume. I don't really see him here today.
Yes, I'm representing Don Plume. Just a few brief comments. Mr. Chairman, as you and I both realize, it's not good for your mental health to listen to too many planners in an afternoon, so I'll be quite brief. I agree with David's recommendation on his staff report. It's quite a comprehensive, and we have no objection to council passing the necessary bylaw. Plumeville is, I was quite surprised when Don Plume asked me to look into this, that Plumeville was not designated as a settlement area, which would have eliminated the necessity for a county official plan amendment, but that wasn't the case. So we proceeded with the county amendment, and staff seemed to concur with our suggestion that it probably should be a settlement area because it looks like one and provides a very appropriate and efficient type of rural development for rural and residential lots. So with that, I'm not going to belabor the point. We agree with David's recommendation as well as Derek's, and I would request that council proceed to amend their zoning bylaw, subject to, of course, the implementation of the county official plan amendment. Any questions, I'd be happy to respond to.
All right. Thank you very much, Don. And with that, I'm going to suggest we go to any of the public. Is there any public member online today that has a question or comment? I'm not seeing anything from my end of it. Ashley, do you have anybody that's hiding behind the screen out there?
No, I do not.
All right. Decision. Is there any comments or questions from the committee? And I see Councillor Hutchison. Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, just Mr. Scott intrigued my thought process when he mentioned about being a settlement designated as a settlement area or a community. What would be the benefits of designating that community sort of thing? It's a bit of a peculiar one too, because you have West Gray on one side of the road and Southgate on the other side of the road. So what would be the benefits of designating that?
Well, it is, first of all, you could designate it as a hamlet designation. It's probably fits the bill more than some of the other designations, like the county calls development along the shoreline as a settlement area. This one seems to fit the provincial planning statement a little more accurately when it comes to defining what should be in a settlement area. And the county is notwithstanding the fact that it's split between two jurisdictions, that means that the county could designate it because they do have an official plan that covers both jurisdictions. Actually, the benefit of that would have been for us to just require a zoning bylaw amendment if it had been designated as a settlement area in the county plan. Now that horse is out of the barn right now, but if there was, and maybe there, I don't see where there's going to be a lot more development in Plumeville. This is pretty well the last one, but it's appropriate to designate these small settlement areas because
Mr. Mayor, sorry, just going to interject. We're just getting a little beyond the scope of what council is dealing with here today.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. I get your gist.
Good. All right.
Red tape, we call it. Red tape.
Yeah, you might call it that, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Nothing else from the committee for clarification. Then we do have a recommendation in the report. I'll have to bring it back up here again, but I think it is to basically approve the severance application at this point in time. Is that about what I'm going to say?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's no severance application being presented right now.
No, but sorry, the zoning application. Misspoke on that. The recommendation that in consideration of staff report ZA 28/2024, 140 McFarland Drive, Plume, Council directs staff to bring forward a bylaw to amend bylaw 37/2006 as it relates to zoning amendment 28/2024. And did I see Deputy Mayor Hutchison's hand up to move that? Thank you. Someone to second it. Councillor Townsend. Doug? Any questions or comments on the motion as recommended? Seeing none, because of doing this online, it's kind of different. I will ask if anyone is opposed to that motion. Seeing no one opposed, I'll declare that it is carried. Thank you very much. And again, thank you to all staff and Mr. Scott for your work on this file. And with that, I believe that's all that we have today, Jamie, on the agenda. I'm going to declare that the meeting with all business looked after, we're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. And now it's out to handle snow again. Wonderful.